Which brings us to the podium, Gene Washington, the NFL Director of Football Operations, pinch hitting for the commissioner for the Jets' third first-round
With
pick.
the 18th pick in the first round, the Jets select quarterback Chad Pennington from Marshall University.
As previously mentioned in my video about the Jets franchise, Pennington was one of the best quarterbacks in Jets history. He had 3 playoff appearances over his 6 years as the team's starting quarterback. After taking over in 2002, he could never really find the sustained success due to multiple injuries. After a down 2007 season, the Jets would release him following the 2008 offseason. After the 2008 offseason ended, he would sign with the Dolphins and lead them to the playoffs that same year, but in 2010 would suffer one final injury which derailed his career.
With the first selection in the 2001 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Michael Vick, quarterback, Virginia Tech.
Following a legendary career at Virginia Tech, the Falcons took Michael Vick first overall in the 2001 draft. With Atlanta, Vick was one of the best athletes at the quarterback position that anyone had seen to date. The Falcons were also a fun team during this time as they would make the playoffs twice, in 2004 and 2002. The 2004 season also brought them to the brink of a Super Bowl, but they would lose to the Eagles in the NFC Championship game that season. In the middle of the 2004 season, the Falcons also gave Vick a 10-year contract extension to hopefully see him develop into a better passer. Vick, through his time in Atlanta, was never a great passer, but his main weapon was the mobility that he provided on the ground. Following the NFC Championship game run in 2004, the Falcons' on-field success struggled. They would go 8-8 in 2005 and would miss the playoffs, though Vick was a Pro Bowler that season, and they would go 7-9 in 2006, though Vick would rush it for over 1,000 yards that season, becoming the first quarterback to do so. Following the 2007 offseason beginning, he would be arrested in 2007 following a federal investigation into a dogfighting ring he was helping to operate. Everyone rightfully thought this was the end of Vick's career as he was sentenced to multiple years in prison.
Michael Vick has landed with the Eagles. Vick's agent, Joel Siegel, confirmed on Thursday that a deal has been made with the Philadelphia Eagles, where Donovan McNabb is the starting quarterback. Vick hasn't played in the NFL since 2006. His last team, the Atlanta Falcons, broke all ties with him after his conviction in August of 2007 of conspiracy and running a dogfighting operation. He was sentenced to 23 months in federal prison and was suspended indefinitely by the NFL. He served 18 months behind bars. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell lifted Vick's suspension July 27th, opening the door for him to sign with a team with some restrictions. Vick will be allowed to participate in training camp and the final 2 preseason games, but won't be eligible to play in the regular season until the commissioner reviews Vick's situation by week 6 of the regular season.
Shockingly, after serving 2 years in prison, the Eagles decided to give Michael Vick a second chance at an NFL career. Controversy arose almost instantly from the Philly fan base as Vick's signing was boycotted by multiple fan bases as a result of the team's signing. After playing sparingly in 2009, he would have a comeback 2010 season after stepping up for an injury to Kevin Kolb. During his comeback 2010 season after stepping up for Cobb, he would put up career highs in terms of passing yards and passing touchdowns. Vick would lead the Eagles to a miracle comeback over the New York Giants late in the season, along with making the playoffs. Behind that playoff appearance, Vick would make his 4th Pro Bowl along with winning 2010 NFL Comeback Player of the Year. The Eagles rewarded Vick with a 6-year contract extension, but after a decent 2011 season, the flaws began to show. Vick started missing games in 2012 and 13 and eventually would be benched for Nick Foles. He would spend 2 more seasons with the Jets and Steelers before his 2016 retirement.
With the first choice in the 2002 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select David Carr, quarterback from Fresno State.
The expansion Houston Texans franchise selected Fresno State's David Carr. A star quarterback in college who led his team to 11 wins at Fresno State, the Texans thought they had found their franchise quarterback. In reality, what they thought was their star future would turned out to be a nightmare for Carr himself. As a rookie, Carr was sacked just 76 times, and I say 76 times lightly, which broke the NFL record for sacks allowed in a season. It really never got better from there. Carr struggled to lead the expansion franchise Texans, and by 2007 he was released. Following his time in Houston ending, he would sign with the Carolina Panthers, where he would start 4 games. After his few starts in 2007, those were the final few starts of his career. He would spend time with the Giants and 49ers before his eventual 2012 retirement. Currently, he's an NFL analyst, along with having won a Super Bowl in 2011 as Eli Manning's backup.
The third choice in the 2002 draft, the Detroit Lions select Joey Harrington, quarterback from Oregon.
The Detroit Lions selected Oregon quarterback Joey Harrington 3rd overall in the draft. Harrington, just like Carr, struggled and was never really able to have much success with the Detroit Lions organization. The exception was in 2004, in which he threw for 19 touchdowns and 3,000 yards, though the team went 6-10, which was pretty much average for Detroit during this time span. After 2005, Harrington had brief stints with the Falcons, Dolphins, and Saints. He would later announce his retirement during the 2009 offseason, in which he retired after spending 2 seasons with the Saints.
Washington Redskins, and here's the commissioner with the selection.
With the 32nd choice in this 2002 draft, the Washington Redskins select Patrick Ramsey, quarterback from Tulane.
So the quarterback that was...
Using the last pick of the first round in the 2002 draft, Washington selected Patrick Ramsey out of Tulane. Ramsey was not a good fit in Washington as he struggled in Steve Spurrier's offensive scheme. Despite only being 3 years into his NFL career, Ramsey saw the writing on the wall immediately. In 2005, Washington hired Joe Gibbs, the former Super Bowl winning head coach, and they would take another quarterback in the first round. That quarterback will be mentioned later in this video. On top of that, they also named Mark Grinnell the starter, who would take Washington to the playoffs that year. Following the end of the 2005 season, Ramsey would be traded to the New York Jets the following offseason. After being released by the Jets in the 2007 offseason, he would begin a journeyman backup career, which would end with him retiring after the 2010 season.
2003 draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Carson Palmer, quarterback from Southern Cal.
But what an exciting moment. You're the #1 pick of
The Bengals drafted the USC Heisman-winning quarterback in order to try and fill the gaping hole they had at the position. After spending the rookie year behind quarterback John Kitna, the Bengals would let Palmer loose, and immediately he rewarded them. In 2005, he would go to the Pro Bowl, along with leading them to an AFC title. Though an injury in the playoffs would prevent them from reaching their full potential, Palmer would still continue to show flashes during his time in Cincinnati. After recovering from his injury, he would have a Pro Bowl 2006 season, and in 2009, he would lead them to the playoffs just one final time. After the 2010 season ended, the organization and Palmer's relationship was shattered beyond repair. Palmer went into retirement, forcing the Bengals to let him go to another team. The reason why Palmer had retired was the fact that he hated it in Cincinnati and really wanted to change the scenery. He would spend 2 seasons with the Oakland Raiders before being traded away to the Arizona Cardinals for just a 6th-round pick. With the Cardinals organization, Palmer would put up career numbers along with reviving his career during his time in Arizona. In 2013, he would go 10-6, leading the Cardinals to their first winning season since the 2009 season under quarterback Kurt Warner. In 2014, his season would end abruptly due to a torn ACL, though he had started off the season 6-0. In 2015, Palmer had his best season. He would finish second in MVP voting and would lead the Cardinals to a 13-3 record. In the playoffs, he would also win his first playoff game over the Green Bay Packers in an overtime thriller, though he would lose in the NFC Championship game to the Carolina Panthers. Following his MVP caliber 2015 season, Palmer would play 2 more seasons with the Cardinals organization. Following a career-ending injury in 2017 in which he had broken his hand, he would retire that following offseason.
With the 8th selection in the 2003 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Byron Leftwich, quarterback from Marshall.
The Jaguars selected Marshall's quarterback Byron Leftwich, and unlike most of the other quarterbacks mentioned on this list, Byron's career started off pretty well. He had an okay rookie year in which he made the All-Rookie team, and over the next 2 years, he would progress pretty well. By the middle of the 2005 season, Leftwich had broken out, leading the Jaguars to an 8-3 start. During this span, he also looked like a dark horse to win the MVP award. During Week 12 of the 2005 season, any chances of Leftwich winning the award came to a screeching halt. He would suffer a broken ankle, which forced him to miss the rest of the regular season. In spite of Leftwich missing most of the season with an injury, Jacksonville would still qualify for the playoffs. In the wildcard game, they would face the New England Patriots, and they would decide to start Leftwich. Leftwich, however, had an awful performance, which was the beginning of the end for his career in Jacksonville. In 2006, just like the season prior, Leftwich suffered another injury, being to his ankle, and he was forced to get surgery this time. The Jaguars would let him walk in free agency during the 2007 offseason. In 2007, he would sign with the Atlanta Falcons to be the backup to Joey Harrington after Michael Vick was suspended during that season. He would also sign contracts with the Pittsburgh Steelers and Tampa Bay Buccaneers before his eventual retirement in 2012. After his playing career ended in 2012, Leftwich would join the NFL coaching ranks. He would begin by being an assistant with the Arizona Cardinals for 2 seasons before being signed by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to be the team's offensive coordinator. During the 2020 season, the team would win the Super Bowl, with Leftwich getting a lot of confidence as being a future NFL head coach. Though after the 2022 season, he was fired and is currently no longer on the coaching staff. Leftwich's career is a what-if at this point. It seems like he was on the right path before suffering his first ankle injury, and it makes me wonder, would he have been a Pro Bowl quarterback, or would his career have still remained the same? Let me know what you think in the comments down below.
With the 19th selection in the 2003 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Kyle Bowler, quarterback, University of California.
Well, now let's just say this. They got him.
Out of the 4 first-round quarterbacks taken in the 2003 draft, Bowler was the worst quarterback out of all of them. During his time in Baltimore, his play was pretty much pedestrian, and after 2007, he was released. He would spend 2 years with the St. Louis Rams before spending a year with the Oakland Raiders before his eventual retirement.
With the 22nd selection in the 2003 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Rex Grossman, quarterback, University of Florida.
The Bears took a flyer on quarterback Rex Grossman in the first round of the 2003 NFL Draft. Grossman was coming off a year in which he had finished top 5 in Heisman voting and was considered a potential franchise quarterback for the Chicago Bears. Rex Grossman, during his brief time in Chicago from 2003 all the way to the 2008 season, he was mediocre during that time. The one exception was the 2006 season, in which he threw for over 3,000 yards, along with 23 touchdowns. That Bears team in 2006 would make the Super Bowl in a weak NFC that season. Though they would play the Indianapolis Colts in the Super Bowl, they would lose in a tight game. This was mainly due to Grossman throwing a pick-6, which sealed the loss. After the Super Bowl ended in 2006, there was hopes that Grossman would be able to continue his elite play into the next season. However, that never really materialized, and after 2008, he was out of Chicago. Beginning in 2009, Grossman would begin a journeyman backup career where he would spend time with Houston, Washington, Cleveland, and Atlanta before his eventual retirement in the 2015 offseason.
With the first choice in the 2004 NFL Draft, the San Diego Chargers select Eli Manning, quarterback, Mississippi.
Never know.
With the fourth pick in the 2004 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Phillip Rivers, quarterback, North Carolina State.
One of the most influential trades in NFL history went into effect during the 2004 draft. The Chargers would get Phillip Rivers along with 2 additional draft picks, and the Giants would get quarterback Eli Manning. The reason why Manning had not wanted to play for the Chargers was how Ryan Leaf was handled during his time in San Diego. Between the Chargers and the Giants, both teams really got a good end of the deal. The Chargers would get a future Hall of Famer in Phillip Rivers, who became their all-time passing and touchdowns leader, and actually Rivers led them to their most success in franchise history. He led them to the AFC Championship game once, and was actually one of the best quarterbacks they've ever had, if not the greatest. Rivers became the Chargers starter in the 2006 season, and he would hold that role for 14 straight seasons, all the way to the end of the 2019 season. In 2020, however, he would leave the Chargers to sign with the Indianapolis Colts, and he would lead that team to the playoffs during the 2020 season, though they would lose in the wildcard round to the Bills. After the 2020 season ended, Phillip Rivers would retire and would become a high school football head coach. Manning's tenure would begin during the 2004 season, in which he took over the starting job for quarterback Kurt Warner. From that span, Manning would become one of, if not the greatest quarterback in Giants history. He would lead the team to 2 Super Bowls in 2007 and 2011. He would also lead them to multiple playoff appearances, though not many playoff runs, with the exception of 2007 and 2011. Manning's playoffs went as followed. In 2005, he would lose in the wildcard round to the Panthers. In 2006, he would lose in the wildcard round to the Eagles. In 2007, he would win the Super Bowl. In 2008, he would once again lose into the divisional round to the Philadelphia Eagles. In 2011, he would win the Super Bowl, and in 2016, he would lose to the wildcard round to the Green Bay Packers. From 2004 all the way till the 2017 season, Manning had an Ironman streak going where he would never miss a snap or even a game. Manning was probably one of the most healthiest quarterbacks during that span, and the only reason why his Ironman streak came to an end was because he was benched for quarterback Geno Smith mid-season by Ben McAdoo. At the end of the 2019 season, Eli would call it a career and would retire. He would finish a perfect 500 in his career, and he is currently a member of the Manning podcast on ESPN.
At the 11th pick in the 2004 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Ben Roethlisberger, quarterback, University of Miami, Ohio.
The Steelers, just like the Chargers and Giants, got another great quarterback out of the selection. Roethlisberger's time with the Steelers was one of the best in Steelers history. He would be the team's starting quarterback from 2004 all the way until the 2022 season, and he would provide great quarterback play. He would lead the team on multiple playoff runs, along with winning 2 Super Bowls in 2005 and the 2009 season. After the 2022 season ended, Roethlisberger would retire from NFL entirely.
With the 22nd pick in the 2004 draft acquired from the Dallas Cowboys, the Buffalo Bills picked J.P. Losman, quarterback from Tulane.
J.P. Losman is one of the most forgettable NFL first-round picks ever. I can't really say much about Losman as he didn't really have that much of a starting career. While he did start in 2005 for Buffalo, it was to mixed success with a 7-9 record. After 2005, he never really got another chance. He was injured in 2006 and was the backup to Trent Edwards in 2007. After the 2007 season ended, Losman would officially become an NFL backup for the rest of his career. Following his retirement at the end of the 2011 season, Losman would begin a coaching career. He is currently an offensive assistant at Oklahoma and has previously been with the Clemson Tigers in college football.
With the first selection in the 2005 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Alex Smith, quarterback, Utah.
Alex Smith had a pretty solid NFL career, though it doesn't really get off the ground until he leaves. Early on in his career with San Fran, he looked like a complete bust due to the fact they could never find a head coach that could mold with the quarterback pretty well. In 2011, they would hire Stanford's head coach Jim Harbaugh to mold with him, and it immediately worked out pretty well. In 2011, Smith would put up career numbers as he led the 49ers all the way to the NFC Championship game, where they were on the brink of a Super Bowl they would lose to Eli Manning and the Giants. In 2012, Smith nearly did the same thing, though due to an injury, he would miss most of the season and was benched for Colin Kaepernick. In 2013, Chiefs head coach Andy Reid would acquire Alex Smith in exchange for a draft pick. Over the next 5 seasons, Smith would establish himself as one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, along with one of the best Chiefs quarterbacks in NFL history. During his 5-year career with Kansas City, the Chiefs would make the playoffs 4 times, along with winning their first playoff game in 2015 for the first time since the 1994 season over the Houston Texans. By the 2018 offseason, the Chiefs had established Smith as a 3-time Pro Bowler and someone who was top 5 in passing yards and passing touchdowns in their franchise's history. After spending 5 years in Kansas City, he would be traded to Washington, where he would spend the first bulk of the 2018 season as the starting quarterback. Washington's season started off promising. The team was 6-2, and they were looking like one of the premier playoff contenders in the NFC. Sadly, that all came crashing down after Smith suffered one of the most gruesome injuries in NFL history, along with which nearly took his life. To the shock of everybody, over 2 years later after Smith had suffered the injury, during the 2020 season he was playing in the NFL, Smith actually took meaningful snaps for Washington and would lead the team to the playoffs. After the season ended, he would win 2020 NFL Comeback Player of the Year before announcing his retirement and becoming an NFL analyst.
With the 24th selection in the 2005 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers select Aaron Rodgers, quarterback from California.
The Rodgers pick is one of the best in Packers history, if not the greatest. They had some of the best success they've ever had in NFL history behind Rodgers. Rodgers in the 2010s was one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history. He put up so many numbers during that span, winning 4 MVPs, and was one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever do it in NFL history. He even won a Super Bowl in 2010 with the Packers, and it's just his 3rd year as a starting quarterback. The rest of the time for Rodgers in Green Bay had a lot of ups, but also a lot of downs in the playoffs. For some reason in the playoffs, every time Rodgers was close to a Super Bowl, it would always end in disaster. He had multiple times where teammates would mess up, resulting in him missing the Super Bowl, or coaching decisions which were seen as laughable and are still seen as laughable to this very day. Currently, Rodgers is on the New York Jets following a 2023 offseason trade, and after tearing his Achilles, it looks to be uncertain for his future with the team.
With the 25th selection in the 2005 NFL Draft, the Washington Redskins select Jason Campbell, quarterback from Auburn.
The final quarterback taken in 2005 was Auburn's quarterback Jason Campbell. During his time in the league, Campbell had his moments. He started 10 seasons in the NFL and actually played pretty well during that span. In 2007, he was part of Washington's playoff team, which made the playoffs as a wild card team that season. And in 2010, he also led the Raiders to a 7-4 record as his team's starting quarterback. Campbell would call it a career after the 2014 season, in which he retired following a year with the Cincinnati Bengals, and currently he is an analyst.
With the 3rd choice in the 2006 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Vince Young, quarterback, University of Texas.
The Titans selected the national championship winning quarterback Vince Young in the 2006 draft for the 3rd overall pick. Young, during his career, had his moments. In 2006, he went to a Pro Bowl and won Offensive Rookie of the Year for the team. The next 2 years for Young, however, despite the promising rookie year, didn't really go out that well. In 2007, he threw more picks than touchdowns, so the team made the playoffs. They would lose in the wildcard round to the San Diego Chargers and Phillip Rivers. In 2008, however, he would suffer another injury, which forced him to miss the most of the season for Kerry Collins. Unlike the 07 and 08 seasons, Vince Young bounced back in 2009. He would throw more touchdowns than picks that year and would make the Pro Bowl, along with being considered a comeback player of the year candidate. Despite a promising 2009 season in which he made the 2nd Pro Bowl, the team overall collapsed the next season. They would start out 5-2, but would miss the playoffs. Young would be released following an argument with Jeff Fisher, and he would sign with the Eagles. After his 1 season in Philadelphia, that was pretty much the end of Young's career. He would bounce around a few training camps, but would be released, and eventually in 2017, he would announce his retirement.
With the 10th choice in the 2006 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Matt Leinart, quarterback, USC.
The Cardinals completely whiffed on the Matt Leinart pick. Almost immediately, they realized their mistake, as Leinart had an awful rookie year, and they never really gave him another chance afterwards. In 2010, the Cardinals would let Leinart walk in free agency to sign with the Houston Texans on a 2-year contract. He would spend 2 years in Houston before spending 1 year in Oakland before his eventual retirement in the 2013 offseason after failing to make the Bills' roster.
The 2006 NFL Draft, acquired by trade from the St. Louis Rams, the Denver Broncos select Jay Cutler, quarterback, Vanderbilt.
The final quarterback taken in the 1st round of the 2006 NFL Draft was quarterback Jay Cutler. What people forget is that Denver actually drafted Cutler and that he was a Pro Bowl quarterback in Denver, though he was traded in the 2009 offseason to the Chicago Bears. The Bears and Cutler really didn't have much success other than the 2010 NFC Championship game in which they appeared as a division winner, though they would lose to the Green Bay Packers that game along with Aaron Rodgers. In 2010, afterwards, they didn't really do much. They had 1 winning season in 2012, but beyond that, they never made the playoffs again under Cutler. Despite the lack of team success in Chicago, Cutler stands as being the top Bears quarterback in team history. He has the most passing yards and passing touchdowns for a Bears quarterback in history. After playing 1 season in Miami in which he had decent success, though it did not make the playoffs with Miami, he would retire following the 2017 season.
With the first pick in the 2007 NFL Draft, the Oakland Raiders select quarterback JaMarcus Russell, LSU.
The worst quarterback pick in NFL history. Russell never really worked for it in the NFL. He struggled for 3 years and was out of the league quickly. That's all I can say about Russell, as he had the talent to succeed at the NFL level. He just didn't put the work ethic in to do so.
With the 22nd pick in the 2000 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Brady Quinn, quarterback, Notre Dame.
I'll say this about Brady Quinn. He was a lot better than JaMarcus Russell, which isn't saying much because of how bad JaMarcus Russell was during his 3 years in the NFL. Brady Quinn's NFL career lasted 8 seasons, with the Browns and Chiefs being the bulk of his starts, but other than that, he would see time in training camps for several different NFL franchises, and after the 2014 season, he would retire.
With the third pick in the 2008 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Matt Ryan, quarterback, Boston College.
The Falcons selected Boston College's Matt Ryan with the 3rd overall pick in the 2008 NFL Draft. For Matt Ryan, he would lead the Falcons to the most success they have ever had in franchise history. The top of the success came in 2016, in which he led the team to Super Bowl 51. The peak of the Matt Ryan era came when the Falcons were up 28-3. Though they would blow the lead, it was the second time they had ever been to the Super Bowl, and though they would never make it back, Matt Ryan still gave them the most success in franchise history. After one final playoff appearance during the 2017 season in which they lost in the divisional round to Nick Foles and the Philadelphia Eagles, Matt Ryan would never make the playoffs again. By 2022, he was traded to the Indianapolis Colts, where he would spend his final year with the team before eventually announcing his retirement the following offseason.
With the 18th pick in the 2008 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Joe Flacco, quarterback, Delaware.
Baltimore took Joe Flacco out of Delaware with their 18th overall pick in the draft. Flacco spent 11 seasons in Baltimore, with his best-known season being the 2012 season in which he led the Ravens to a Super Bowl victory over the San Francisco 49ers. After the 2018 season ended, Baltimore would trade Flacco to the Denver Broncos in exchange for just a 6th-round pick. Flacco would spend a year in Denver mentoring Drew Lock as a backup quarterback, and then in 2020 he would go to the Jets to mentor Zach Wilson, and his journeyman career has continued since then. His last stop was with the Cleveland Browns in 2023, in which he won NFL Comeback Player of the Year after going 5-1 and leading them to the playoffs. He's currently on a 2-year contract with the Indianapolis Colts and is looking to continue his NFL career.
With the first pick in the 2009 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Matthew Stafford, quarterback, Georgia.
Detroit selected the best quarterback in their franchise's history, that being Matthew Stafford with the 1st overall pick in the 2009 NFL Draft. A year after going 0-16, Stafford would show flashes of being an elite quarterback, and over the next decade, he would continue to show that in Detroit. In Detroit, he would lead them to 3 playoff appearances. Even though he never won a game, it was the best success they had had in years. Throughout his time in Detroit, Stafford was overlooked by the NFL media. That was due to the fact that he never really had much playoff success in Detroit and was seen as someone who was doing good against low opponents but could never beat the great opponents in the NFL. In 2021, Stafford's reputation as being a choker and someone who would never beat good opponents changed when he led the LA Rams to a Super Bowl victory, their first since the 1999 season. As of this day, Matthew Stafford is still playing on the LA Rams and is coming off a Pro Bowl season, and currently Stafford looks to be a potential lock for the Hall of Fame, giving his top passing numbers and a Super Bowl championship helping him.
With the 5th pick in the 2009 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Mark Sanchez, quarterback.
In the previous video about the Jets starting quarterbacks, I already mentioned Sanchez, so I'll just simplify it. Sanchez had 2 good years where he would make the AFC Championship game where he was carried by his defense, and beyond that, he was terrible ever since. After leaving the Jets following the 2013 season, he would sign with Philadelphia for 2 years, spend the offseason in Denver before signing with the Cowboys, and then spend his last year with Washington before his eventual retirement after the 2018 season.
With the 17th pick in the 2009 NFL Draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Josh Freeman, quarterback, Kansas City.
Josh Freeman's NFL career has a lot of ups, but also a lot of downs, similar to what Vince Young's career was like. In his rookie year, he would show flashes of being a potential franchise quarterback, but in year 2, he would progress massively. He would throw for over 3,000 yards to go along with 26 touchdowns. Tampa would go 10-6, though they would miss the playoffs via tiebreaker with the Packers. The main problem with Freeman during his time in Tampa Bay was that he struggled to contain his turnovers. After 2010, in which he threw just 6 interceptions, the next 2 seasons he would throw for a total of 39 interceptions, 22 picks in 2011 and 17 in 2012. In the middle of the 2013 season, Freeman would be released from his contract by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he would only start 2 more games for the next 2 seasons. He would start one with the Minnesota Vikings and the other one with the Indianapolis Colts. After his contract ended in 2015, he would never make another NFL roster again, and by 2018, he would retire from the NFL entirely.
With the first pick in the 2010 NFL Draft, the St. Louis Rams select Sam Bradford, quarterback, Oklahoma.
I will say this, at first things looked promising for Sam Bradford with the Rams. In year one with the Rams, he would win Rookie of the Year and would finish 7-9, though the team would miss out via tiebreaker with the Seahawks for the final wildcard spot. After year one with the Rams, Bradford never really progressed from his promising rookie season. He would suffer knee injuries in 2012 and 13, with them both being torn ACLs, and in 2015 offseason, he would be traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. Even after receiving a fresh start in Philadelphia, Bradford was still mediocre for the rest of his career. He never finished above 500 in Philadelphia. He was then traded to Minnesota for a first-round pick, and even then, he didn't finish above 500 there either. In 2017, he was injured and replaced by Case Keenum, and in 2018, he went to the Cardinals for one season, but was then cut mid-year. Following his brief stint with the Arizona Cardinals, Bradford would call it a career and retire from the NFL.
Baltimore has traded the 25th pick to Denver. And with the 25th pick in the 2010 NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos select Tim Tebow, quarterback, Florida.
The Broncos selected Tim Tebow 25th overall in the draft. This was mainly because Josh McDaniels was a guy who didn't really know how to evaluate talent that good. After a promising rookie season under Tim Tebow, in which he started 3 games, the Broncos would start out 1-4 under Kyle Orton and would turn to Tebow to try and save the season. Under Tebow, the team would go 7-4 along with making the playoffs. In the 2011 wildcard round, they would face the Pittsburgh Steelers, who were favored to win by multiple touchdowns. Despite that, Tebow and the Broncos would force overtime, and in overtime, on the first play, they would connect with Demaryius Thomas to win the game on the walk-off touchdown. Tebow's miracle victory over the Pittsburgh Steelers was the last victory he would ever see as a starting quarterback. The following season, he would be traded to the New York Jets and would spend 1 season there before being cut. Following being cut by the Jets, he would spend 2 training camps, one with the Philadelphia Eagles and the other one with the New England Patriots. He would also spend 1 more season with the Jacksonville Jaguars in the 2021 season as a tight end, though would not make the roster that season either. Before this video ends, I just wanted to say thank you so much to every single one of you for liking and subscribing. I never would have expected this channel to get this much attention this quick, and I will say I appreciate every single one of the supporting comments I have seen from every single one of you. And one more thing, I hope you all have a lovely day, and I hope you enjoyed the video. And once again, have a great day and stay cool.